To apologise for trifling with the chair earlier, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Apology accepted. Call Government Order of the Day number 2.
Ombudsman Cost Recovery Amendment Bill, first reading.
Honourable Shane Jones.
Tēnā no tātou katoa. Sir, I move that the Ombudsman's Cost Recovery Amendment Bill be now read a first time. Mr Speaker, at an appropriate time, I nominate that this bill, sir, go to the Government Administration Committee to enjoy consideration. Sir, this is a particularly important piece of the machinery of our Constitution and our government, which has been starved as a consequence of a very parsimonious approach taken by the current government to adequately resourcing the Ombudsman's office. Sir, the Ombudsman's office has a bark that can have the effect, not unlike a set of teeth marks, on recalcitrant bureaucrats. And at all times, sir, we need to ensure that this office is suitably, adequately resourced. And, sir, unlike other members of the House, the officers of that office are not prone to florid, extravagant language. It falls to me, sir, to be a moderate and sober representative for them and their concerns, which were reflected in the Select Committee report, which considered, sir, the report of that office, where no one, sir, stepped up on that side of the House to alleviate the concerns, or certainly adequately alleviate the concerns of such a figure, sir, as Dave McGee QC, sir, and Dame Beverly Wakeham, the two senior office holders in that institution at the moment, where they said that the workload, sir, is such that they are struggling to maintain the quality of work and the quantity of output that has defined their work to date, sir. Now, it's evident, sir, that their staff are experiencing an enormous amount of work and their staff are stretched. And, sir, we as members of Parliament ought at all times to ensure that, sir, they're suitably resourced, because when their work, sir, is carried out on a consistent basis, it has the effect of ensuring that the bureaucracy operates to a high quality of standard. I only have to, sir, think in the spirit of openness about the Zowie debacle, where Sir Mel Smith, Ombudsman of that time, was able to delve into the innards of the Immigration Department, and indeed, sir, found that an individual, I recall the name being Ian Smith, had not only failed to provide the necessary information, but, sir, failed in his duties, and it ended up costing the reputation of that department and indeed unnecessary amounts of money. And this is an example, sir, of why the office ought to be adequately funded. Let me talk about, sir, what this bill, pithy in size, sir, but deep in reach. Now, sir, what this bill seeks to do is to establish, sir, a regime where recalcitrant, sir, disinterested, indifferent bureaucrats have to face their department face a financial cost should they, sir, not be efficient and not respond with alacrity to the constitutional concerns of the Ombudsman's office, sir. Now, I need to say, sir, it may be said that by enabling the Ombudsman's office to pass on a charge as a consequence, sir, of the sluggish behaviour of these bureaucrats, it could give rise to a difficulty with conflict of interest perception. So that is not, sir, that is not the case in terms of the thinking behind this bill, and neither, sir, is it the case in the words used in this bill. It is an opportunity for us to incentivise the government departments so that they realise, sir, that where their actions don't measure up to the expectations of the Ombudsman's office, then they do not get a free pass. But sir, it's measuring the sense of crisis, and I use that word because I'm borrowing the language, sir, that was in the actual report, sir, that quoted Dame Beverly as describing the resources, the paucity of resources reaching a crisis level. Now, sir, it may suit that side of the House to diminish the status of these officers of the House. Indeed, they're about to do it to the Environmental Ombudsman. But, sir, on this side, we stand to ensure that such steps cannot be taken in a furtive way. They will be publicised at all relevant points in this constitutional journey. Now, sir, why are we required to bring this bill when there's an opportunity on that side of the House to simply increase the appropriation? Now, it might be said, sir, they're not doing that because of the general scarcity of resources. But I go back to the central principle which Dame Beverley herself has pointed out. When her office is adequately resourced, sir, it actually enables them to resolve a whole host of difficulties behind the scenes and ensure that government departments, sir, do not act in a fashion that worsens either the bureaucracy, worsens either the reputation of the bureaucracy or further frustrates the legitimate interests and concerns of New Zealanders when they seek out information. Now, sir, all electors require a watchdog. This institution, sir, is a constitutionally mandated watchdog, and the provenance of it, sir, goes back a little bit before my time. Could be certain members in the House who remember Sir Guy Powell's back in the 1960s, slightly before my time, sir, but that gives an indication of how deeply embedded this institution is in our machinery of government. And for what I would say, sir, the miserly sum of $700,000, which was the difference between the $300,000 gesture, which came, sir, from the frugal, parsimonious, flinty Mr. English, who seems to be diminishing the status and the role of this organisation, all for $700,000, because they needed an additional $1 million to get rid of the backlog. Now, sir, we should be doing that. Why? Because it's not reasonable for citizens to wait incessantly because, sir, this institution, the Ombudsman's office, lacks the resources. Now, sir, we've been told that nigh on 80% of the complaints actually come from individuals. Now, there's been a host of colourful complaints. Obviously, I think here not only of the Zowie case, sir, but the work, for example, that happened in the complaint that was made in relation to the photos that the police had about the French rugby player who got in a spot of bother. Sir, the Ombudsman's office was available to assist the media in that, and whilst it doesn't strike at the heart of government, it enables the media, which from time to time can be rather irritating, but they have a role to play as well, the Fourth Estate, to ensure that they get quality information, sir. Now, sir, there are some... now, should I be nice to the media? 95%, but unfortunately words are inversely related to reality when you deal with the Fourth Estate. But that's another matter, and I wish them well in trying to ascertain what's really happening with my Maori relations and their watahuis and the government. But to come back, sir, in terms of the Ombudsman, I think it's important to bear in mind it has jurisdiction over local government, sir. It has jurisdiction over local government, so its workload has grown, and it's probably grown, sir, on the back of the global financial crisis, as people feel that as the current government is rationing resources, that their concerns are not being adequately aired, they're not being adequately considered, or indeed, sir, new grievances are growing. So why not ensure that the watchdog, which is the electors, which is a force for good in relation to the electors, is adequately funded? So we realise that the refined voices of Dame Bev and Dave McGee, sir, they won't take on a sort of an acidic tone like like those members of the House, sir. They will remain refined. But, sir, I only have to quote the words of Dame Beverley, where she said, sir, that they are in crisis. So it falls to us as parliamentarians to highlight that sense of crisis, to warn, sir, both ourselves and electors that if it's left to wend its way unattended, sort of mischief could be afoot, sir. Thirdly, sir, we as parliamentarians ought to ensure that the institutions that report to Parliament are held in the highest public esteem. They're not asking for a great deal. They're asking to be treated respectfully. I've got no doubt, sir, that the next report they send in our direction will repeat the concerns that they suffer as a consequence of the miserly level of the paucity of resources which they currently have access to. So, sir, this is a legitimate piece of legislation, proposed legislation. I look forward to it being perhaps forlornly supported by all sentient members of the House, and I would like to put on record, sir, that after the vote may prove to be a very diminished number. Thank you very much.
The question is that the motion be agreed to.
Mr. Speaker.
Chris Ockenvold.